Hello everyone, and welcome to Stuff I Found Interesting. I found an article about lab-grown brain cells and how researchers were trying to create an organic computer with them. I don't know about you, but this seems crazy. The possibility of using lab-grown mini-brains to create biological hardware capable of advanced computational tasks is an exciting prospect for scientists. Brain organoids, or small clumps of stem cells, have been used to investigate a range of diseases including Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, and Zika. Moreover, researchers believe that the unique characteristics of brain organoids, such as their ability to learn quickly and store information compactly, make them ideal candidates for use in computational tasks. The researchers proposed the development of organoid intelligence, which refers to the use of brain organoids as biological hardware for advanced computational tasks. The brain organoid's ability to store information, estimated at 2,500 terabytes, exceeds that of traditional silicon-based computers. We can only pack so many transistors into the tiny spaces we use for current processors and storage drives. Our brains have a network of 100 billion neurons, connected through more than 1,015 connection points. However, the researchers acknowledge that there are ethical implications to using organoids as biological hardware. For instance, scaling up brain organoids to 10 million neurons to create sophisticated biocomputers raises questions about the consciousness and intelligence of the organoids. Although the scientists do not believe that the connected organoids would attain outright sentience, they acknowledge that they could likely attain some form of intelligence. Measuring the intelligence of organoids is a challenge, as we have limited knowledge of what generates consciousness or intelligence in our own brains. Furthermore, it is important to note that organoids are not mini-brains, as they do not contain the same large number of cell types that brains have, and they aren't communicating constantly with a body through inputs and outputs. The ethical implications of creating and using organoids as biological hardware require careful consideration. The researchers are committed to consulting teams of scientists, ethicists, and members of the public to assess any ethical questions that arise as the research evolves. The possibility of using brain organoids as biological hardware for advanced computational tasks is an exciting prospect. If we can find a way to do it right, we could start bypassing bottlenecks that our current technology is starting to have. We could even start using this biological hardware to tackle some artificial intelligence problems that we are trying to solve. Biological hardware, such as stem cell-grown neurons, has been explored as a potential alternative to traditional silicon-based hardware for AI learning. Stem cells are undifferentiated cells that can be directed to differentiate into various types of cells, including neurons. By using stem cells to create neurons, researchers hope to create a more biologically realistic substrate for AI learning, which could enable more efficient and accurate neural network training. There are several potential advantages to using stem cell-grown neurons for AI learning. For example, biological neurons are highly complex and dynamic, and they can form complex networks that are difficult to replicate using traditional hardware. Additionally, biological neurons can learn and adapt in response to new stimuli, which could enable more flexible and adaptive AI systems. Traditional silicon hardware will almost always beat out biology when it comes to raw computation. Our brains aren't wired in such a way to make that possible. We developed and learned over millions of years to be changed by our experiences and feelings instead of raw calculation. Biological hardware would be much more suited to taking in new information and using it to adapt what is already known in new situations. Silicon-based hardware typically consists of transistors, which are arranged in circuits to perform specific functions. Biological hardware, on the other hand, is made up of cells and tissues that are highly complex and dynamic, and can form complex networks. In silicon-based hardware, processing is performed by moving electrons through circuits. In biological systems, processing is performed by exchanging chemical signals between cells. Silicon-based hardware is highly precise and reproducible, but it can be difficult to modify or reprogram once it has been manufactured. Biological systems, on the other hand, are highly flexible and adaptable and can respond to changes in their environment. However, there are also several challenges associated with using stem cell-grown neurons for AI learning. One major challenge is the difficulty in controlling and manipulating the biological systems in a precise and reproducible way. Additionally, biological systems are highly sensitive to environmental factors, which could limit the scalability and robustness of these systems. While stem cell-grown neurons and other forms of biological hardware are still in the early stage of development, they hold significant promise for the future of AI research and development. So what does all this mean? I think that silicon hardware is here to stay. I also think that biological hardware is something that will eventually replace any and all AI platforms or services in the future. I do not think that the advantage of biological hardware is really seen until it grows to larger scales. It will likely never fit in your pocket like your phone. Eventually, all the learning and situational modeling algorithms will be changed over to the biological equivalent. All the algorithms that we create today are meant to replace the brainpower of humans doing the same job at scale. Nobody can afford to hire and maintain enough employees to service any of the major algorithms that serve of us our content daily. There are too many people using platforms like YouTube, Facebook, or TikTok. Tailoring your experience on any of these platforms would be a full-time job, and that is just for you. How else could it be done for the billions of daily users that are on these platforms? Once this technology or something similar has matured and can be developed at scale, it will become necessary to use it if those kinds of companies want to remain competitive. Current algorithms can only handle figuring out ways to keep you on the platform by serving up things that will generate an emotional response or interest. That is it. What if there was a biological equivalent that would be able to take in the same information, like what you watched, how long you watched, and if you interacted with the content, and make logical leaps to what else you would be interested in? What if it goes beyond that? What if it can recommend things to you as if it was your best friend who has known you for years? How many times has someone you know shown you something because they just knew it was for you? That is the kind of results that biological hardware could give you. If someone waved a magic wand and made biological hardware possible today, what would change? Which areas of technology would benefit the most? There are some things that human brains are just better at than computers. The first and most obvious one is creativity. We as humans are capable of creativity. We might not all be great at it, but everyone can come up with something either entirely original or uniquely yours. Not everyone is Mozart or Picasso, but there is nothing stopping any of us from writing a song or painting. What we create might not change the world or be worth anything to other people, but it would be something that didn't exist before and does now. We are capable of making our thoughts become reality. Computers struggle with this. Almost all computers or algorithms need to be told exactly what to do. There are some algorithms out there that can write something for you, like ChatGPT, or even create an image like DALL-E. These two services are fledgling AI programs that have taken in an enormous amount of data to do their jobs. There are arguments to be made on any of the actual originality of their responses, but for the purposes of this video, they cannot create anything on their own. They must be prompted by someone else to generate their content. Another benefit that biological hardware would have over silicon is pattern recognition. Humans are better at pattern recognition than computers because our brains are designed to recognize patterns from birth. Our brains have evolved to detect patterns in our environment, and we do it effortlessly and automatically. If we did not have this ability, we would not have survived as a species. On the other hand, computers require explicit instructions to recognize patterns. They use algorithms and rules to detect patterns in data, and these algorithms have to be specifically programmed to recognize certain patterns. Humans are also better at recognizing patterns in complex, messy data. We can see patterns in images, sounds, and other sensory inputs, even when there is a lot of noise or interference. We can also recognize patterns that are not immediately obvious, such as subtle changes in color or shape. Additionally, humans can use contextual information and prior knowledge to recognize patterns. For example, we can recognize a face even when it is partially obscured because we have learned to recognize facial features and can use the context to fill in the missing information. Computers, on the other hand, would struggle with this task unless they were specifically programmed to recognize partially obscured faces. The last benefit biological hardware would have over silicon that I'm going to cover is being able to learn and adapt to new information. Humans are better at learning and adapting than computers because of the nature of the human brain. The human brain is capable of making complex associations and connections between different pieces of information, which allows us to learn and adapt in a way that computers cannot. This ability is known as holistic learning, which involves using all the senses to gather information and make connections. One of the key differences between humans and computers is the way we process information. Computers rely on algorithms and rules to make decisions and process information, while humans use a combination of logic and intuition. This means that humans are able to adapt to new situations more easily, as we can use our intuition to make decisions based on incomplete information. Computers cannot adapt unless they are programmed to. In addition, humans are better at learning from experience. We can apply what we have learned in one situation to new situations, which allows us to adapt more quickly to changing circumstances. Computers, on the other hand, require explicit instructions and cannot learn from experience in the same way that humans can. Another factor that gives humans an advantage over computers is our ability to understand context. Humans can understand the context of a situation and make decisions based off that understanding, while computers are limited to the information that has been explicitly programmed into them. And finally, humans are better at creative problem solving. We are able to think outside the box and come up with new solutions to problems, while computers are limited to the rules and algorithms that they have been programmed with. I don't know about you, but I'm intrigued at how biological hardware can change how we do things. It is the extremely early days of researching this technology, but if it works like it is envisioned, it can be game-changing. What do you guys think? What would be the first thing to change? As always, thank you for learning with me. If you liked what you heard, please consider subscribing. If you did not like what you heard, thank you for sticking with me this far. If I got anything wrong or left out something, please let me know, as I would love to learn more. I appreciate the time you have taken watching this video. It doesn't matter who you are, you only get 24 hours in a day. Thank you for spending a portion of it with me. See you next time.